Welcome to episode 46 of the Self-Care 101 podcast, helping you to crush overwhelm, stay focused and live better, with your host, Puja K. McClymont. Thank you so much for listening today. In this episode, I'm interviewing my new bestie from the gram, Lindsey Samson, aka the Insta Mindset Coach. Lindsey is an Instagram and mindset coach, and she's also adding NLP to her suite of skills, which I know firsthand that she will love. Lindsey works with coaches to demystify Instagram and empower her clients to organically grow an engaged community, attract their dream clients, and convert sales using her Instagram strategies. Now, I've used Lindsey's Instagram strategies, and I can tell you, I vouch for her. She is amazing. The show covers Lindsey's journey from the big smoke of London in a high-flying corporate career to going back home to the beautiful Yorkshire countryside and setting up her own business just this January. Going from working with someone to doing your own thing. As Lindsey's business is focused on Instagram, in this show you'll also get insights to those burning questions about the algorithm, engagement, as well as how to best use Instagram for your business. Lindsey shares her top tips for well-being, and we even cover the whole comparison thing that is probably most prevalent on Instagram, more than any other social platform. This is a fun and informative show. You'll see very quickly how insightful Lindsey is, and I personally have loved working with her. I am forever grateful that she stalked me and connected. So let's get to it. Hi, Lindsey.
Hi.
Thank you so much for doing the show today. Very exciting.
Oh, you're welcome. It's so lovely to be here. Thank you.
So I've just introduced you to the listeners about, you're my personal favorite in terms of Instagram coach. And I think what I'd love for you to do to start with is basically where you came from and how you got into your IG biz. You know, I think it's an interesting story, and I'm sure the listeners will too. So where'd you come from, Lindsey?
Okay, so my name's Lindsey Samson. I live in York, and I started my business in January of this year. So I work as an Instagram and mindset coach. So my business name is Insta Mindset Coach. So very much coming from the point of view that I work with other coaches and also female service-based entrepreneurs. And I work with them to allow them to be able to grow their community on Instagram by attracting their ideal clients and converting those sales. So I share my strategies with them and teach those strategies. And I'm very much focused on kind of like results driven. I want my clients to get the results that they are looking for. So we do lots of work around that. And then also what I absolutely love is the mindset side of the business as well. So I've just finishing off my NLP practitioner mindset. Yeah. And it's just been so amazing to learn some fantastic techniques and kind of really go into detail in terms of mindset and what it means and how it affects us. So, again, working with clients on their limiting beliefs, on their values, and when that's out of alignment. So that to me is so important, because I think, we say that 80% of success comes down to mindset and 20% is just the strategy. Yeah. So that mindset piece is so important to me. And I see it all the time with the clients I'm working with, just with, people in general. We really do struggle with that mindset aspect. And sometimes it's just that we're not aware. We're not aware of our limiting beliefs that are holding us back. We're not aware when there's something out of alignment and we need to listen to kind of our intuition and make changes to really get the results. So yeah, just find that so interesting. So I love the combination of those two together, and they seem to work really well and get some great results. But rewinding back a little bit then, my background was very much in human resources. So I went to college and school in York. When I finished college, I very much wanted to get out and explore the world. I just felt like I needed to be free. I needed my independence. So I actually worked away for a couple of summers in France and Spain. So I joined a holiday company and just got away, just escaped. And it was amazing. I think I was 18 and I wanted to explore the world. I wanted to meet new people. And I was so curious and interested. And I just had the best time working a couple of summers away, taking a year out. After that, I then came back home and decided, okay, what do I need to do next? And decided that I was ready to study and learn again. I wanted to go back to university. So I actually enrolled at the University of Lincoln, and I did a BA Honours in International Tourism, which had lots of business aspects to it as well. So that was a fantastic degree. And also part of that was that I got to study in Australia for a semester. So again, really, it was amazing. Really kind of tapped into that itchy feet syndrome. I need to get away again. What can I do? So that to me was just amazing. So studied at Lincoln, went over to Australia for 6 months and just had the best time. Just such an amazing country. I fell in love with the place. And also towards the end of my time in Australia, my now husband, actually, he flew out and we had a couple of months together, just traveling around Australia and just having an amazing time. Then came back to England and finished off my year in Lincoln, which did feel a little bit flat and deflating after being in Australia. Yeah. But I got through my last year, which was fine, and graduated. Me and my husband then moved to London. So we did kind of 5 years in London, working in central London in HR. So I was really kind of getting stuck into my career, working hard, going out and enjoying ourselves, had a great social life down there. There was a good network of friends down there as well. So that was an amazing 5 years. We then got married, and then very quickly after that I fell pregnant and I had my son, who's now 11.
That's a familiar story. Yep.
Yes. I fell pregnant. I was still in London. I had my son, and very quickly overnight, there was a whole kind of shift there in terms of my identity as well. I was, going from career working in London to a mum, and it was such a change, such a huge learning curve for myself. We were in London. We didn't have my family there. A lot of my friends didn't have children. I was one of the first out of our group to have a baby. So it was, a difficult transition, in terms of being able to kind of figure myself out during that time as well. But we decided we wanted to ultimately get back to York to be closer to family and friends. And also, I think things change when you have a baby. My values had changed. All of a sudden, London felt like a bit of a scary place, even though it wasn't. But I'd had this baby and I wanted to protect the baby. And it seemed like getting back to Yorkshire, back in the fresh air and the open spaces was definitely, what we wanted to do. So we got back to York, which was great. I then spent a bit of time almost kind of battling with feeling like I needed to keep the career going. I needed to be in HR. I needed to still kind of fulfill that role, and then also being a mum. But the balance was completely off. At work, the hours were long, bringing work home. I worked a lot within employee relations, so it was often quite emotionally draining work as well. And then, being a mum as well, obviously lack of sleep and, feeling always guilty. I wanted to be at home with my son and spend all that time. I wanted to take him to school and pick him up, but obviously I was at work as well. So I think for me, there was a bit of time where I kind of battled on with that. And after a couple of years, I think it finally hit me that, I need to take a step back. I need to focus on being a mum. That's what feels right to me. So I think as just one point, I said to my husband, okay, I need to leave work. I'm taking a couple of weeks out, a couple of months off, and just need to figure out what it is I need to do. So I did that, and it just felt amazing, liberating to kind of let go of that part of my career and take time to be a mum. And then I found other work that fitted around being a mum. It was part-time work, and I kind of sidestepped into sales and marketing, and worked in York locally, so I didn't have the commute as well. And I've absolutely loved that role. It was fantastic. Really felt like I got the balance. And then I think with Joseph getting older, he's 11 now, I always had this entrepreneurial spirit inside of me. I always had loads of ideas of different business ventures I wanted to do. I just knew deep down I've always loved to have my own business. I'd see other people doing it and think, I can do that. I'd love to do that. So I think for me, it was timing. Joseph 11, they're more independent, they're wanting to be with a friend. You feel like you get loads of time back. There's a new chapter starting. Okay, it's my time. What do I want to do? So I just went for it. I knew I always wanted to get into mindset. I think from being in HR and coaching managers, that just felt so right to me. So yeah, went down the mindset coaching route. I joined an 8-month program, which was a business mastermind, and the NLP mindset coaching as well. And that then allowed me to get on the course to kind of start and build my business. It's all happened really quickly. As I said, I started in January, and things are going really well at the moment.
Brilliant. So how do you go from HR to setting up a business focused on Instagram?
So I think it was the different roles I've done kind of between that as well. I think with my last role, it was sales and marketing. So for me, I really loved the sales and marketing side of it, seeing a business, how they kind of build that audience, how they're able to sell and market their services. That always really interested me. And I love the fact with Instagram, it's such an amazing platform in which you can sell your services. You know, we've got things like the link in the bio is a place where you can have your sales page. It's ultimately by a click of a button, someone can pay for your services. So almost operating as kind of like this shop front in terms of, you know, how people can buy from you. I love the fact, you know, with Instagram, you can really build a community. You can seek out and find your ideal clients. I just think it's such a great tool to use. And, you know, ultimately it's free. It's free marketing if we use it in the right way with the right strategies. And that's not costing us anything at that level.
Definitely. So how do you apply mindset work to your Instagram? Because your business is called Insta Mindset Coach. So how does that actually work together?
Yeah, well, one of the programs I'm kind of setting up at the moment is a 10-week Instagram sales accelerator course. It's a group program, but that program starts off with a 90-minute one-on-one. So everyone that's on the course, I'll spend 90 minutes with them, and that's where we work on the mindset work. So it's about looking at their identity, looking at their belief system, looking at their values, their skills and capabilities, really looking into all of that and just highlighting what it is that's potentially holding them back, what fears do they have, and just really exploring that and bringing that to the surface. It's a way of almost
when you say holding them back, you mean holding them back in terms of their profile on Instagram, their presence there, or just their business as a whole?
Their business as a whole, in terms of, you know, ultimately they'll come to me because maybe they're not attracting the right audience, they're not hitting those sales targets that they want, they're feeling stuck. Why aren't they moving forward with their business? And ultimately a lot of that, what holds us back, is due to our mindset, due to that belief system. So it's very much about working through those blocks to what's holding them back. It could be money mindset. We just really explore that in that session, and then we put strategies in place after that they can start applying and working towards to start getting those results. So that's a really powerful session to work on the mindset to start with. And then following on from that, we move on to kind of like the Instagram strategies as we move through.
Wow, it's really interesting. So let's get into some benefits of using Instagram for business, because I know that lockdown, and I'm talking about it in another podcast show actually, but I know that lockdown has created a whole host of new business owners, which I think is superb. Like, to be the digital space, obviously the pandemic has, you know, created this fear around an office job, hasn't it? And people are starting to go back to work and are finding they're being made redundant because of the recession that we're in. So it's a really unstable time. And those that have been able to take an idea that they've probably been sitting with, you know, for a while, like you said at the beginning, you had loads of ideas, you knew you wanted to do something in business, and actually having the opportunity, you know, lockdown has afforded, or pandemic has afforded you people the opportunity to actually explore these business ventures. And I have seen so much and such a massive surge, more so on Instagram. And I found that obviously Instagram has some fantastic tools for you to be able to sell direct to consumer. So like you say, the link in bio, direct to your sales page, and at one click of a button, that customer is a converted customer, is absolutely superb. So what are the main benefits, do you think, about using Instagram for your business? And it's any business, it doesn't matter which one. You know, if the Instagram marketplace is where your customers are, what are the main benefits?
Yeah, for me, it's really about kind of building that community on Instagram. It's about really being able to kind of reach out and find your ideal clients, but as well as networking. A lot of people, you know, in the communities that we have, and in my community, I've built fantastic relationships with people that were potentially seen as my competitors, but really we have a fantastic relationship, and that then can lead to things like collaborations. It can also lead to referrals. They may refer people to your business if there's kind of slight differences in services, and also focusing on the ideal client, building that network up as well. So it's really this whole holistic kind of community that we're building, and we're building it consistently over time. So, you start off small, but then you build the foundations and you continue to grow that over the years. And it really does just kind of open up that platform and give you great exposure and visibility, to your audience. Things like, I know you do a lot of IGTV on your feed as well, which is fantastic. Like, it's such a good way to get that visibility. I'm always in stories. I love stories. Again, it's a great way to get out there, because you're letting people get to know you, to know, like, and trust you. They get to see the human behind the brand. They get to bond with you. And then that is when they want to invest in your services, because they realize that there's a real connection there, and that what you're offering is really going to kind of meet their needs in terms of what they need. So that's, it's a fantastic platform to get really visible. The fact it's global as well. I have clients in Australia, America, for the UK. I mean,
Brilliant.
That's just such a huge audience that you can tap into. It really is kind of limitless.
It's funny you say that about the size of your audience, because the podcast is the podcast, and my podcast, sorry, and it has its own strategy in terms of why I'm doing it, what I want to get out of it, etc. And funnily enough, I have a huge amount of listeners from the US and Australia. And they find me through the podcast, and then obviously they'll follow me on Instagram. And Instagram tends to be the go-to social media platform for the podcast, which I find quite interesting, because I, with my old school marketing hat on, have presence on all the major platforms, because it was a case of setting up and seeing where my client is hanging out. Essentially, when we're working on that whole ideal client avatar, it's a lot about, where are my clients hanging out? Are they hanging out on Instagram? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Facebook? Now, for me personally, the main platforms for me are LinkedIn and Instagram. And I talk about it in another podcast, but I have a lot of followers who are very quiet. So they don't say anything to me. They don't comment or like. And then there'll be something randomly, sort of 6 months later, they make a comment. It's always a profound comment, or they'll DM me, which I love, because you get to speak to them, properly, and have a really good conversation. And it's just really funny how Instagram has become sort of the go-to for podcast listeners. And like you say, like, having that international reach, you wouldn't be able to do that if you're in a bricks and mortar business, would you? I mean, a little bit with tourism, but you really can't. And it is wonderful, right?
No, it's amazing. Yeah, if you think, if I was just setting up my business in York, and I had my office in York, and I was just kind of marketing myself locally, where people could physically commute to that office, it would just be a very small kind of radius area that people would come to use my services. But yeah, when you think of it on the sheer scale of people that you can reach and connect with, I just find it's amazing. Yeah, there's so much opportunity out there. Yeah,
I love that. So, with the benefits of Instagram, I know that Instagram is, or certainly since Facebook bought them, it's become a much more aggressive social media platform. Like, the changes in the algorithms, basically what they're qualifying you on whenever you create a post, is constantly evolving. And I know you mentioned stories there and IGTV. Instagram wants you to use all the features of Instagram, but most importantly, the biggest change in the algorithm, which I know that a lot of big brands have faced, and it's changed the way essentially businesses do business, which I've noticed. Like, I follow brands like Clinique and Ren, products that I actually use, and you can see the shift in the way they use their platform. So before, they were very much telling the customer, I have this new product, come and buy it. Now you can't do that. You've got to talk about that product, and you've got to engage with all those followers who are commenting or liking or sending you a DM, which is wonderful in a way, because it's afforded social media managers inside businesses. It's afforded, people like yourself as Instagram coaches specifically for a particular social media platform. So you are the go-to expert in those fields. But engagement is a tough job. Now, when I hired you and we worked through, I wanted a strategy session, and my problem was very, black and white. Lindsay, what am I doing wrong on Instagram? You know, we went through a list of things that's concerning me, and you gave me some incredible insight into how to use Instagram better. And I'm trying. I'm trying to do my best there, but it is it's, I guess the way to say it, not a long goal, but the long game, if you like. It's a long game because I've got to change my whole strategy, my whole behavior towards Instagram. And the biggest thing was engagement. So I know that engagement is like the number one thing for social media in general, but mostly on Instagram. Engagement, genuine connections, genuine responses, actual engaging content that people are writing. So what tips could you give to people who are really struggling with getting their head around engagement?
Yeah, so I think it's about almost allocating, first of all, a set amount of time each day. So say give yourself 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day to kind of really focus on the engagement. And then it's about having that strategy. So for me, it's about firstly figuring out who your ideal client is and being really, really super clear on who that person is. Once you've established that, it's about trying to find out where will they hang out on Instagram, which accounts will they be following, where will they be commenting. So you could start off, say, for example, a lot of my clients are coaches, and also they're coaches that are female entrepreneurs. So you could start by looking at, there's a lot of female entrepreneur network groups out there. So you could start by looking at those, seeing who's following those, see who's commenting on the post, and quite often you will find your ideal clients there that are looking for your services. So that's a great way to find them. Also looking at your
just a little step back. Now, you said it's important to define your ideal client, right? And I see this information everywhere. I understand the importance of defining your ideal client. 20 years of marketing has taught me that. But why is it so important? What happens once you have defined your ideal client? Why is this so important? Because I feel like that's the bit that's missing in the communication of defining the ideal client or defining your niche, you know?
Yeah, definitely. It all comes really down to the messaging. Once you've identified your ideal client, then your content copy that you're putting out there, your messaging can be so specific. So when you of your ideal client, it's about thinking about what are the actual pain points that they're struggling with, that they need to get results for, and how does that link to your service. And it's about, going on a deeper level. What are their emotions, their feelings behind the transformation that they are looking to experience by linking to your service, by purchasing your service. And that is ultimately what we need to get really clear on in terms of when we're putting our copy content out there. And that needs to filter through in our posts. So the posts that we're putting out there, we need to be making sure that we are, relating and linking to our ideal client in terms of how our services will make that transformation happen, and just being really crystal clear on that. So I think, that's why we need to not just be saying that we're trying to speak to everybody. We end up speaking to no one, and being kind of really clear on who that ideal client is. So I think for me, spending time doing your market research, getting clear on that is, like you said, it's so valuable in terms of being able to move forward.
Okay. So then, sorry, I interrupted you. So you were talking about there are networking groups. So like your ideal client is a female entrepreneur, and there are networking groups. How do you find these networking groups then on Instagram?
So you can use the search option within Instagram. So you could literally type in kind of female entrepreneurs, and you will get a list of accounts that will come up. You might know some yourself already that are out there, so you can look at those as well. And then, as I said, competitors as well. Look at your competitors, who's following them. Again, you'll find these areas where there's pockets of your ideal client out there. So it's just spending a bit of time researching and kind of working through that piece. And then once you've found your ideal clients, it really is about that genuine engagement with them. So jumping onto their account, it's communicating with them, leaving them comments, but the comments on posts that resonate with you, where you can leave a genuine response and get some dialogue going, some conversation going there as well. Jump into stories, leave comments there, some emojis, respond in that way also, and liking the post as well. And it's about, if you think they're generally an ideal client, you'll start following them as well, and also kind of make a note of these accounts and potential people that you can go back to and keep building that relationship with. And you'll soon find out those that kind of want to join your community, potentially are an ideal client, and that relationship continues to build. And so that's a really important piece, to really get those foundations in there. And I think, like anything, consistency is is key to keep kind of going at it consistently. You know,
Yeah.
you're not necessarily having to do it every day, but maybe like on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday, those can be your engagement days, and keep doing that kind of week on.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely vouch for that strategy in itself. Just doing that can make all the difference. I mean, I managed to do a week of it every single day, sort of at the top of the day and towards the end of the day, because a lot of looking at my insights, a lot of my followers are online on Instagram in the evening. So I sort of did that. And I followed and I genuinely engaged, because I feel uncomfortable with ingenuine engagement. I get that a lot. I get people sort of commenting on a number of posts and sending me a DM. But for me, it just feels too forced. And obviously, because I know what's going on, I'm a bit more, you could have worked a little bit harder to make that just that little bit more authentic, and you would have won me over and we would have engaged in a dialogue. But because it felt false, I wasn't able to engage. So that's been a key takeaway for me as well when I'm engaging with other people's posts. Is very much I speak in the tone of voice that I speak in, always on those, and if we resonate and we get along, great. And you know, sometimes it's the quality of the person who's following. It's not necessarily the numbers, you know, the vanity metric of how many followers you have. Yes, I have a great amount of followers, but that doesn't mean that my followers are engaging with me, because I haven't been putting engaging content out there. And when I say engaging, I mean the type of content that's going to elicit a reaction, whether it's a like, whether it's a save, a share, a comment. I've not been doing that. So I know where I need to develop my strategy. And I know that a lot of people that I've spoken to, clients who are building a business essentially on Instagram, they're selling product or service. That is something that they can't really get their head around. They really struggle with understanding that the algorithm, Instagram, wants you to engage. If you don't engage, they won't be showing your posts to the people who you want to see your post. And essentially, if you're there for business and making sales, you've got to get with the program, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, like touching on kind of like the metrics as well, it's so important to kind of keep your eye on those insights. And I think, you know, you can look back on your content. I know I put some content out there and had fantastic response, you know, like 75 people saved one post. So I knew that that was content that they absolutely loved and they wanted to save, they would refer back to it. So I know that that type of content is something I need to produce more of going forward. Same with the say and the shares. If people are sharing content, I need to look at what I put together and what's working and kind of build on that as well.
Yeah, it's really good. It's good that you mentioned that insights, because they're right there. You know, it's not like you've got to go into Google Analytics and figure out where your customer's coming from, their journey, etc. It's right there in Instagram. You just click it and you can see, you can sort, you can find out, you know, within the last 30 days, your most engaging posts essentially. And yes, do more of the same, because that's what your followers want. And there's your evidence. You know, it's not even like you've got to really dig deep to find out. The evidence is right there. So yeah, thank you for that. That's really good. I just want to move on to something that we touched upon before we started the call, which was about comparison on social media. And I talked to you a little bit about a wobble, I'm going to say, that I had in the last couple of weeks. And my wobble entailed essentially comparing my business model to other people's business models on Instagram. And because the space has become very busy with new coaches, life coaches, or just coaches in general for various different products, I started getting connection requests from these coaches. And for me, you're my peer, you're my colleague. So yes, I'll connect with you, of course, you know, absolutely. And I'll be following them as well. You know, if I like the types of content, it's interesting. But what happened to me was that I ended up falling down a very dark rabbit hole of these Instagram coaches, which affected my business, because it made me question everything that I had done so far, everything that I was doing. And it took me completely away from, one, my business model, and two, my strategy that has actually been working for me these last few years. So I was really like, oh, maybe I'm missing a beat here, and let me explore this. Let me look into this. What does this mean? But the whole time that I was doing it, I was uncomfortable. Everything that I was reading, everything I was following, I was okay with some content, you know, some of it was interesting. I was looking at the style of it. But genuinely, when I looked to approach that business model for my business, I felt uncomfortable. And that's when I took it was quite it was quite dramatic in terms of stopping and really reviewing, hold on a minute, what have I just done? Is this my business model, or is this my business model? And when I came back to my original plan, it's my actual business model is on my vision board, that I look at day in, day out. And I've made it so specific to say, your clients come from here, your clients hang out here. This is what makes you as a coach, why people work with you, all of that. Once I did that, I was like, oh, this is not my business model. That thing that I was trying to, achieve is not my business model, which is why it felt uncomfortable. My business model is this, and I do more of it. And as soon as I did that, you could call it law of attraction, the universe aligns. I was then approached for an opportunity to do a speaking gig, which is exactly the type of work that I want to do. That's why I want to do more. You mentioned my IGTVs, one a week, but I want to do more of that, because that is the field, that is where I am going to grow my brand and what I'm expecting to do in terms of my goals. Now, you should, as a coach, walk your talk, blah, blah, blah. But it happened to me. And I'm not afraid to say that it happened to me, because I think it's very important to share mistakes, failures, growth, and how you then, what's the word? Sort of like, regather yourself and get back to your focus. So with so much competition out there, and competition is good as well, like you say, being mates with your competitors, nothing wrong with that. But with so much comparison on social media, so many other people doing what you're doing, how do you manage to stay focused on your own progress? Every day you're in Instagram. How do you manage to not get sidetracked or go down that rabbit hole?
I think for me, I feel like I finally found something that I'm so aligned to in terms of my value, my passion, that I've just got that focus, that drive. I think it's taken me a lot of years to get to that point where I'm just absolutely loving what I'm doing. I feel so aligned to it. I am focused in terms of what I want to achieve and where I want to get to, that it really empowers me to be able to kind of, just focus forward, to stay in my lane, and to do what I need to do and want to do to get the results. Obviously, that being said, I think it's natural that at times you'll compare yourself and look at someone that you think, wow, they've just come out of nowhere, they've made so much progress in the last 6 months, and sometimes you feel a little bit like, I'm not making as much progress. So it's so easy to kind of to compare yourselves, but I think it's just so important to kind of bring it back to like you said, what am I doing, what are my goals, what do I want to achieve, and just kind of really stay focused on that. And I think, as soon as it is aligned to me, what I want to do, then that is the driving force that I know will kind of continue to kind of keep me moving forward.
Yeah, amazing. All right. So what do you do for your well-being? How do you keep yourself well? Because again, we talked about this at the top of the call. I'm not anti being in the digital space or the online space, but I am very step away from the computer, step away from your phone, go for a walk, etc. Like, you've got to do it. You've got to use technology mindfully, and that includes TV and everything else. So because your business is an online business, it's predominantly online that you are, how do you keep yourself well? What are your top 3 tips for well-being if you're in an online business?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think for me as a person, I am somebody that does need to move a lot physically in terms of my body. I need that for my mental health and my physical health as well. And like you say, if I'm sat for too long at my desk, I feel the tension in my body. I can feel a little bit frustrated. So I'm quite sensitive to that. I do feel it, and I do definitely need to move my body, and that is what really helps me. So just kind of very simply, like, how am I going to move my body today? What am I going to do? Am I going for a run? Am I going to take the dog on a long walk, going for a swim? At weekends we try and get out as a family on a bike ride, just kind of do things that fit into the day to get that balance. I love getting out in nature, kind of any walks or anything like that, absolutely love. And then one thing I did actually last year is I organised a challenge. So I think for me it was, okay, I need to organise a challenge. I need to do something that's a goal in the future that I am going to work towards. It's going to keep me fit and healthy to get to that point. So I decided that I was going to get a group of us to do the Yorkshire 3 peaks. So that's 26 miles over the 3 highest peaks in Yorkshire. So It is a physical challenge. It's not easy by any means. So I got a group of about 10 of us to do it. We did it for a charity, for the MND Association, which is a charity close to my heart. So it was amazing that we could do something for the charity as well. I organised it in the January in terms of, right, are we doing it? Who's on board? Who wants to join in? Got all the confirmations. Everyone was good to go. And then we booked it in for the end of May. So from January to May, that was me having myself work towards a goal. So I know I needed to get out there and do so much fitness. I needed to do so many walks. We got out more and booked in walks over mountains throughout Yorkshire just to kind of get that training in. I mean, that was the fittest I ever was before I took on the challenge and we did it. That was the fittest I've ever been, because I'd set myself that goal. I knew I needed to work towards it to achieve it, and that's what got me the result. So that was really powerful for me, and it was such an amazing experience to kind of achieve that and accomplish that at the end, not just physically but mentally, in terms of the confidence you feel at the end of it, that you've set a goal, you've achieved it. So
absolutely. I did race for life once when I was when I lost weight finally for the first time in my life. I discovered running, and I was like, because as an overweight person, running is not the most comfortable physical activity to do, with your boobs and stuff. So as I was sort of like, I don't know, but probably about size 12 or something, I discovered running at that point. I was like, let me just give it a go. It costs me nothing. I've got a park right outside where I live, and let's give it a go. And honestly, I did that for maybe 3 years of my life, and I was probably the most mentally stable I have ever been, the most in control of my stress levels, the most positive I have ever been in my life. I mean, now I really do try to be, but it doesn't compare to what that running afforded me. And as I was doing the running and I was sort of setting myself targets and like, right, I want to do this in 20 minutes and that in 20 minutes, I then discovered Race for Life, and I was like, I'm going to do this. And I did it all by myself. I didn't really tell anyone I was doing it until it got closer. And I was like, I want to do it within 20 minutes. I want to do this 5K within 20 minutes. And I was running 5K in 30 minutes. So I just made that goal. And I got so focused into it that I've actually I'm doing that again this time around. So not necessarily with the running. I'm still not ready to be running again. But we were talking about it at the top of the call. I have now set myself a whole goal for just July to August, like literally just 1 month. I've decided to realign my goals, and it's just about physical health and family. So like I was saying, I was like, I'm not going to be doing much work. I'm just focusing on this, and for 1 month, and I'm psyched. I'm really excited. It makes it so much easier when you've got, I guess, an eye on the prize. There's something that is going to be tangible in a shorter space of time, because we are very much in this instant gratification place of life. So you've got your ultimate goal. So obviously the ultimate goal is health, longevity, etc. But it's nice to have these little ones in between. So I love that you did that. Oh my God, the 3 P's. Massive.
Absolutely. And I think it's the accountability as well for me. The fact that I'm doing it with a group, you don't want to let anybody down. I've got to show up for this and do it. That's massive for me. Having that accountability, it really does keep me going. Like I kind of respond well to being held accountable. That's how I get results. So
that's brilliant.
Yeah, no, that was good. I also really like on the flip side as well, I really like Reiki and acupuncture. So I have a Reiki session once a month. And that for me is amazing in terms of just rebalancing like my energy and kind of resetting me. It's really powerful in terms of how it kind of makes me feel. So I absolutely love that as well, and do that once a month. A
little secret for you, I'm a Reiki practitioner too.
Are you? Oh my God, that's amazing. I didn't know that.
Something that I looked into as part of my healing when I had depression. So 2012, 13, I think.
Wow.
I was doing that. And on my retreats, when I host retreats, during certain classes or whatever, I will do some Reiki with my clients. So it's a nice little...
That's amazing. Yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm fascinated by it. Yeah,
it is fascinating.
Yeah.
So then to wrap up, Lindsey, I think this has been a really great, really informative show. Thank you. But what do you know now that you wished somebody had told you when you were setting up your business?
I think for me, and it's almost I wish somebody had maybe told me much earlier, but it's all about the mindset. I think for so long in my life, I have held myself back. I've had these limiting beliefs. I've been out of alignment, just feeling quite stuck at times, but not almost being aware of it. So I think for me, definitely that whole mindset piece, if I'd have started working with a mindset coach much earlier on, I think I would have got so much more clarity. And that's something I've started doing now. I work with, a couple of coaches now. I'm a part of a program as well. And that whole piece where you're investing in yourself is so, so powerful and really does get you the results. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because you can only do so much by yourself. Everyone says that. Every big business leader will always say you can only do so much by yourself, and you're going to need to have that learning attitude for life as well, that you're never done. You're never really an expert. You're an expert for now, but you're not necessarily going to be an expert next year. And even things like, with Instagram, for instance, or any other social platform, you don't own that space. Somebody else owns it. It can be taken away. It can be changed. So you are victim to whatever they're going to do. So having the right mindset means that should something happen, at least you know how to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and move on, so that your business can continue to grow, so that you can continue to grow. And yes, like you say, investing in yourself, it's something that I think the narrative is changing now to be more positive about investing in yourself, be that counseling, therapy, coaching, investing in your business. I think people have this idea of, I'm going to sell this product, and then don't think that they need anyone else's help, because they see online all these successful coaches who are doing it all by themselves, or these successful businesses. But it's like, no, darling, there's a whole team behind that. They may not be employees of that company. They might just be freelancers, or they might just be people that you, like yourself, you're in a mastermind, so you've got this great network of like-minded people. And even just your and my relationship, we're peers now, we're colleagues. So if I had a question for you, I know I'd feel comfortable to ask you that, and vice versa, and support each other, refer, clients, etc. So it changes the game when you've got that mindset of growth and investment and learning, and it's that whole putting in what you want to get out, right?
Absolutely, yeah, it is. It's such a game changer for me. It really, really has been. And I think it helped me to build my resilience and kind of, let go of the fear, and just kind of really be able to kind of power on and move forward. So yeah, that's been amazing. Yeah.
Amazing. All right, Lindsay, would you like to plug any services?
So at the moment I am doing 90-minute intensive Instagram strategy sessions. So I have those available. Also at the beginning of September, I'm going to be releasing my 10-week Instagram sales accelerator. And then also I do have one-to-one coaching as well available. So so lots going on for me, lots of great ways to work with me. Yeah.
Brilliant. And I myself have had the strategy session, so I can definitely vouch for money well spent, time well spent. Lindsay knows her stuff, and the way Lindsay relates it's just so accessible to everybody, and she meets you where you are. And I think, Lindsay, so many people don't. They sort of come from that elitist attitude, and you really don't. You meet the client where they are, and you talk to them on the same level, which is comforting. It helps that person then open up and be able to say, I'm scared of these problems in my business, and you're like, no problem, we've got this. And I think it's amazing. So I definitely vouch for you on that. All right, my lovely. Well, thank you so much for doing the show today. I think that's been really, really informative, and I've learned a lot from it as well. So I hope the listeners have too.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Self-Care 101 podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you would subscribe, rate and review, so that other people like you can find the show. For more tips and tricks, you can follow me on the socials at Frankly Coaching, or visit my website to find out more about my coaching programs and how to work with me at franklycoaching.com. Talk to you soon.